Rohan slumped onto his bed, the silk wedding clothes feeling like a heavy weight on his shoulders. He stared at the ceiling fan, its whirring a monotonous drone in the otherwise silent room. Arranged marriage, he muttered under his breath, the words tasting like ash. He pictured a woman with crooked teeth, a large nose, and a plain face. It wasn't that he was shallow, exactly. It was just, everyone he knew was marrying someone they found attractive. His friends would laugh. They'd whisper behind his back, pitying him for being stuck with someone ugly. Rohan valued his social standing, appearances mattered. He dreamed of a beautiful wife, someone who would turn heads and make him the envy of all his friends. His heart sank further. This was supposed to be the happiest day of his life, not a sentence. He squeezed his eyes shut, wishing he could disappear. A knock on the door startled him. "Rohan, beta, son," his mother's voice called softly, "it's time. Time to face his fate. Time to marry a woman he already resented, a woman he hadn't even met, a woman he was certain he wouldn't find beautiful." He took a deep breath, trying to steel himself for the inevitable disappointment. He pictured her again, plain, ordinary, someone easily overlooked. Rohan's mind conjured up the worst possible scenarios. He imagined introducing her to his friends, the forced smiles, the awkward silences. He could almost hear the whispers, "Poor Rohan, he really drew the short straw." He shuddered. It wasn't just about vanity, he told himself. It was about compatibility. How could he connect with someone he didn't find attractive? How could they build a life together if there was no spark, no initial attraction? Love was supposed to start with a flicker of desire, wasn't it? He knew his thinking wasn't fair. He hadn't even met her, yet he was already judging her based on nothing, really, except his own shallow fears. But the thought of a lifetime with someone he didn't find physically appealing filled him with dread. Rohan sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. He just wanted to be happy, to have a wife he could be proud of, inside and out. Was that really too much to ask? His phone buzzed. It was Virat, his best friend. "Big day, huh?" "Heard she's interesting looking," the text read, followed by a winky face emoji. Rohan's stomach churned. Even his friends were already making fun of him. He typed back a curt, "Yeah, great," and shoved the phone back in his pocket. He glanced at himself in the mirror, adjusting his turban. He was considered handsome, with sharp features and a confident smile. He worked hard to maintain his appearance, spending hours at the gym and carefully selecting his clothes. He wanted a wife who complimented him, someone who would enhance his image, not detract from it. He knew his parents wouldn't understand his concerns. They kept saying, "Beauty fades, Rohan. Character is what matters." But Rohan wasn't convinced. He wanted both. He wanted the whole package, beauty, intelligence, and a good personality. Was that really so unreasonable? He sighed again, the weight of his expectations pressing down on him. He was trapped, and there was no escape. It wasn't as if his family was forcing him exactly, but the pressure was immense. Anjali's family was wealthy and influential, and the marriage would solidify their family's position in society. His father had hinted at potential business deals and connections that could arise from this union. Rohan knew his family needed the boost. Their business had been struggling lately, and this marriage could be the lifeline they desperately needed. He had tried to voice his concerns, to explain that he wanted to choose his own partner, someone he truly loved and admired. But his parents had brushed aside his objections, saying, "Love will come later, Rohan. This is about family and security." His grandmother, especially, had been adamant. She believed arranged marriages were the only way to ensure a stable and prosperous future. She kept reminding him of how happy she and his grandfather had been, despite their marriage being arranged. Rohan respected his grandmother, but he couldn't help feeling like a pawn in a game he didn't want to play. He was sacrificing his own happiness for the sake of his family's financial security and social standing. The injustice of it all stung. The wedding hall buzzed with activity. Relatives bustled around, their colorful saris a blur of silk and gold. The air was thick with the scent of incense and jasmine. Music played, a lively beat that did nothing to lift Rohan's spirits. He felt like a puppet, being moved and dressed according to someone else's plan. He sat on the ornate chair, staring blankly ahead as the makeup artist applied concealer to his face. He barely registered the gentle touch of the brush. His mind was a whirlwind of anxieties and resentments. He kept replaying the same scene in his head, his friends laughing, his disappointment, a lifetime of regret. He wished he could run away, disappear into the crowd and never be seen again. But he knew he couldn't. He had a responsibility to his family, a duty to fulfill. He was trapped, a prisoner of tradition and expectation. He closed his eyes, trying to block out the noise and the pressure. But it was no use. The wedding day had arrived, and there was no turning back. He was about to marry a woman he didn't want, a woman he was convinced he wouldn't love. The moment arrived. The music swelled, and the priest began to chant. He kept his gaze fixed on the floor, his heart pounding a slow, heavy rhythm against his ribs. He knew this was it. He had to look up. He had to face his fate. Slowly, reluctantly, he raised his eyes. He saw the embroidered hem of her lehenga, then the intricate henna designs on her hands. He continued to raise his gaze, his breath catching in his throat. And then he saw her face. His mind went blank. The chanting faded into a distant hum. He forgot about his friends, his family, his anxieties. All he could see was her. He stood frozen, his mouth slightly ajar, completely and utterly speechless. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. He had expected something entirely different. What he found was the opposite of everything he had imagined. The only word that echoed in his mind was, impossible. He was completely stunned into silence. Anjali was breathtaking. Her eyes were large and expressive, framed by long, dark lashes. Her skin glowed with a natural radiance, and her lips were full and perfectly shaped. She wore a traditional red lehenga, intricately embroidered with gold thread that shimmered in the light. The jewelry adorned her, but it was her natural beauty that truly shone. She looked like a Bollywood actress, a goddess descended from the heavens. Rohan couldn't reconcile this vision with the image he had conjured in his mind. This woman was far more beautiful than anyone he had ever dated, more striking than any of the models he followed on social media. He felt a wave of heat rush to his face. He was ashamed of his earlier thoughts, of his shallow judgments. How could he have been so wrong? How could he have doubted that his family would choose someone worthy? He had been so consumed by his own vanity that he had completely missed the obvious. Anjali was extraordinary. He could feel the eyes of the wedding guests on him. What were they thinking? Did they know how wrong he had been? He felt a flush of embarrassment wash over him. He didn't understand. How could everyone have let him believe she was anything less than extraordinary? Had his family been testing him? Had his friends been deliberately misleading him? The confusion swirled in his mind, compounding the guilt that was already gnawing at him. He felt like a fool. A shallow, judgmental fool. He had spent so much time worrying about her appearance that he hadn't even considered her feelings. What must she think of him? Did she know about his doubts? Had she sensed his reluctance? The thought made his stomach clench. He had treated her unfairly, even before they had met. He had judged her based on nothing but his own preconceived notions. And now, faced with her undeniable beauty, he felt utterly ashamed. He wanted to apologize, to tell her how wrong he had been. But the words caught in his throat. He was trapped in his own web of prejudice and regret. He knew he had a lot to make up for, but he had no idea where to begin. He glanced at Anjali again, her eyes meeting his. He saw a hint of something in her gaze. Was it amusement? Or was it disappointment? He couldn't tell. Despite Rohan's obvious discomfort and the palpable tension in the air, Anjali remained composed. She offered him a small, gentle smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners. During the ceremony, when their hands were joined, her touch was light and reassuring, not accusatory or resentful. After the ceremony, as they were being ushered through the throngs of well-wishers, she leaned in close and whispered, "Are you all right, Rohan? You seem a little pale." Her voice was soft and melodic, filled with genuine concern. He mumbled a response, avoiding eye contact. He couldn't bring himself to meet her gaze, still overwhelmed by guilt and confusion. Yet, she didn't push him. She simply nodded and squeezed his hand again, offering a silent gesture of support. Later, during the reception, when his boisterous cousin started teasing him, Anjali stepped in and gently steered the conversation in a different direction. She diffused the situation with grace and humor, protecting him from further embarrassment. Rohan was taken aback by her kindness. He didn't deserve it. He had treated her terribly in his mind, and yet, she was treating him with nothing but compassion and understanding. Her grace only amplified his guilt. The days following the wedding were a blur of rituals and family gatherings. Slowly, tentatively, Rohan began to talk to Anjali. At first, their conversations were stilted and awkward, filled with polite inquiries about each other's families and interests. But as the days passed, they started to relax, and their conversations became more natural. He learned that Anjali was a talented artist, with a passion for painting landscapes. She loved to read, and her favorite author was Jane Austen. She was also a trained classical dancer and volunteered at a local animal shelter. He found himself drawn to her quick wit and her infectious laugh. She had a way of making him feel comfortable and at ease, even when he was struggling with his own internal turmoil. He realized that she was more than just a pretty face, she was a complex and fascinating person. He started to see glimpses of her inner beauty, and he was captivated. He started to ask questions about her dreams and aspirations. He found that he was genuinely interested in her answers. He was beginning to see her, not just as his wife, but as a person. He still had a long way to go, but he was finally taking the first steps towards building a real relationship. It wasn't just her artistic talent or her love for classic literature. It was the way Anjali spoke about the animals at the shelter, her voice filled with genuine empathy. It was her sharp, insightful observations about the world around them, delivered with a self-deprecating wit that made him laugh out loud. It was her unwavering commitment to her family and her friends, her fierce loyalty and her unwavering support. He realized that he had been so focused on superficial qualities that he had completely overlooked what truly mattered. Anjali possessed a depth of character that was both inspiring and humbling. She was intelligent, compassionate, and funny. She was kind, generous, and selfless. She was everything he had ever wanted in a partner, and more. He started to wonder if he was worthy of her. He had been so quick to judge her, so blinded by his own prejudices. And yet, she had shown him nothing but kindness and understanding. He was beginning to realize that true beauty wasn't about physical appearance, it was about the qualities that resided within. And Anjali was beautiful, inside and out. His initial attraction to her physical beauty had now been replaced by something deeper and more meaningful. He was falling in love with her soul. He found himself looking forward to their conversations, eager to hear her opinions and her insights. He started to notice the small things, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about something she was passionate about, the way she bit her lip when she was concentrating, the way her hand fit perfectly in his. He began to appreciate her not just for her beauty, but for who she was as a person. He admired her strength, her resilience, and her unwavering optimism. He was captivated by her intelligence, her wit, and her sense of humor. He loved her kind heart, her generous spirit, and her unwavering compassion. He realized that he had been so wrong about her, so blinded by his own shallow prejudices. He had almost missed out on the opportunity to know this extraordinary woman. He was grateful for the chance to make amends, to prove to her that he was worthy of her love and respect. He started to plan small gestures to show her his appreciation. He brought her flowers, he made her favorite tea, he even tried to learn a few steps of classical dance. He knew he had a long way to go, but he was determined to win her heart. He was falling in love with Anjali, and he was falling hard. Their budding romance wasn't without its challenges. Rohan's friends, initially surprised by Anjali's beauty, still made subtle jabs about the arranged nature of their marriage, questioning whether their connection was genuine. He found himself constantly defending Anjali, asserting that his feelings for her were real, regardless of how their relationship had started. Societal expectations also weighed heavily on them. There was pressure to start a family quickly, and Anjali's passion for her art was often dismissed as a hobby, rather than a legitimate career. Rohan struggled to balance his family's expectations with Anjali's desire for independence. But perhaps the biggest obstacle was Rohan's own past behavior. He had to confront his previous prejudices and prove to Anjali that he had truly changed. He had to earn her trust and show her that he valued her for who she was, not just for her looks. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to overcome these challenges and build a lasting, loving relationship with Anjali. He wanted to prove to her, to his family, and to himself that their marriage was more than just an arrangement. It was a love story in the making. The turning point came during a family dinner. Rohan's aunt, a notoriously opinionated woman, made a snide comment about Anjali's weight, suggesting she needed to watch herself now that she was married. Rohan had always been passive in these situations, avoiding confrontation to keep the peace. But this time, something snapped. He stood up, his voice trembling with anger. "That's enough," he said, his gaze fixed on his aunt. "Anjali is beautiful, inside and out, and I won't tolerate you speaking about her like that." His aunt scoffed, but Rohan didn't back down. He continued to defend Anjali, praising her talents, her kindness, and her intelligence. He spoke passionately about how much he loved and respected her, silencing the room with his heartfelt words. Anjali watched him, her eyes filled with tears. She had never seen him stand up for himself, let alone for her. In that moment, she realized that he had truly changed. He had confronted his prejudices and was willing to defend her, even against his own family. Later that night, Anjali thanked him, her voice choked with emotion. "That meant the world to me, Rohan," she said. "Thank you for standing up for me." He held her close, promising to always protect her and cherish her for who she was. The event solidified their bond and proved to Anjali that Rohan's love was genuine. Later that week, Rohan decided it was time to be completely honest with Anjali. He took her to a quiet spot in their garden, a place where they could be alone and undisturbed. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "Anjali," he began, his voice filled with sincerity, "I need to apologize to you. I wasn't fair to you before we got married. I had these ridiculous ideas in my head about what my wife should look like. I was so worried about what my friends would think that I didn't even give you a chance." He paused, his eyes filling with tears. "I was wrong, Anjali. So wrong. You are the most beautiful, kind, and intelligent woman I have ever met. And I am so incredibly lucky to have you in my life." He reached for her hand, his touch gentle and hesitant. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. And I need you to know something else. I love you, Anjali. More than words can say." He waited, holding his breath, for her reaction. He had laid his heart bare, and he was terrified of what she would say. Anjali gently cupped his face in her hands, her eyes searching his. She saw the sincerity in his gaze, the genuine remorse in his expression. She knew that he had truly changed. She had seen it in his actions, in his words, and in the way he looked at her. "Rohan," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion, "I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I understand the pressures you were under, the expectations you were trying to meet." She smiled, a warm, radiant smile that reached her eyes. "And yes, Rohan, I forgive you. There is nothing to forgive. She took his hand in hers, her touch sending a jolt of electricity through his veins. And I need you to know something too. She continued, her voice barely a whisper. I love you too, Rohan. I think I have been falling in love with you since the moment I saw you standing at the altar, looking so utterly shocked. She laughed softly, and Rohan couldn't help but laugh with her. He pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her, holding her tight. He had been given a second chance, and he wasn't going to waste it. He was going to spend the rest of his life proving to Anjali how much he loved her, how much he cherished her, and how grateful he was to have her in his life. From that day forward, Rohan and Anjali made a conscious effort to build a stronger bond. They communicated openly and honestly, sharing their hopes, their dreams, and their fears. They made time for each other, going on dates, taking walks in the park, and simply enjoying each other's company. Rohan made a point of supporting Anjali's artistic pursuits, encouraging her to showcase her work and celebrating her successes. He learned about art history and even took a few painting classes with her, much to her amusement. Anjali, in turn, supported Rohan's career aspirations, offering him advice and encouragement whenever he faced challenges at work. She helped him see the bigger picture and reminded him of what truly mattered in life. They learned to compromise and to negotiate, finding solutions that worked for both of them. They respected each other's opinions, even when they disagreed. They built a marriage based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. It wasn't always easy, but they were committed to making it work. They faced every obstacle together, supporting each other every step of the way. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, transforming their arranged marriage into a true partnership. Over time, Rohan's friends and family began to see Anjali as he did, not just as a beautiful woman, but as a kind, intelligent, and compassionate person. They witnessed their growing love and their unwavering support for each other. His friends, initially skeptical of their arranged marriage, were now impressed by their genuine connection. They saw how happy Rohan was with Anjali, and they realized that he had truly found his soulmate. They stopped making snide comments and started to admire their relationship. His family, too, came to accept Anjali wholeheartedly. They saw how much she loved Rohan, and how much she contributed to their family. They appreciated her intelligence and her grace, and they welcomed her with open arms. Even his aunt, the one who had made the hurtful comment about Anjali's weight, eventually apologized. She admitted that she had been wrong to judge Anjali based on her appearance, and she praised her for her inner beauty and her kind heart. Rohan's grandmother, who had always believed in the wisdom of arranged marriages, was overjoyed to see how happy Rohan and Anjali were together. She declared that their marriage was a testament to the power of tradition and the importance of family. Rohan and Anjali were finally accepted, not just as a couple, but as individuals who had found true love in the most unexpected of circumstances. Years passed, filled with love, laughter, and countless memories. Rohan and Anjali built a beautiful life together, a testament to the power of love to overcome even the most challenging circumstances. Anjali pursued her art, becoming a renowned painter whose work was exhibited in galleries around the world. Rohan proudly supported her every step of the way, celebrating her achievements and encouraging her to follow her dreams. They traveled the world, exploring new cultures and creating unforgettable experiences. They started a family, filling their home with the joy and laughter of children. They built a strong community of friends and neighbors, sharing their love and their happiness with those around them. Rohan often looked back on the day of their wedding, remembering his initial dread and his shallow judgments. He couldn't believe how close he had come to missing out on the greatest love of his life. He was eternally grateful for the unexpected twist of fate that had brought him together with Anjali. Their story became a source of inspiration to others, proving that love could blossom in even the most unexpected of circumstances. It was a happy ending, a testament to the transformative power of love and acceptance. Rohan and Anjali's story serves as a powerful reminder that true beauty lies within. It teaches us to look beyond superficial appearances and to value the qualities that truly matter: kindness, intelligence, compassion, and strength of character. It emphasizes the importance of empathy and understanding, of seeing the world through another person's eyes. It encourages us to challenge our own prejudices and to embrace diversity in all its forms. It shows us that love can blossom in unexpected places, even in the most challenging of circumstances. It reminds us that arranged marriages, while often viewed with skepticism, can lead to lasting happiness if both partners are willing to put in the effort and to build a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. Ultimately, Rohan and Anjali's story is a celebration of the human spirit, a testament to the power of love to transform lives and to create a better world. It is a story that will stay with you long after you have finished reading it, a reminder that true happiness is not about what you see on the outside, but about what you feel on the inside. It teaches us to open our hearts and our minds, and to embrace the beauty that lies within each and every one of us. In the end, Rohan and Anjali's journey reminds us that love is a powerful force, capable of transforming lives and overcoming even the most deeply ingrained prejudices. It teaches us that acceptance is not just about tolerating differences, but about celebrating them. It shows us that true connection is built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and compassion. It reminds us that arranged marriages, while not for everyone, can be a pathway to lasting happiness when both partners are willing to open their hearts and minds to the possibilities. Their story is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to learn and grow, and the capacity for love to conquer all. It is a reminder that even when we make mistakes, we can always find a way to make amends and to create a better future. So let us all strive to look beyond appearances, to value inner beauty, and to embrace the transformative power of love and acceptance in our own lives. For it is in these qualities that we find true happiness and fulfillment, and it is through these qualities that we can create a world that is more just, more compassionate, and more loving for all.